Okay, recording. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm making this video, and pardon the Newton rings that are going to show up because I'm filming from off of my computer screen. And this I'm making to show something to people that many of whom I'm talking to lately who are getting lens flare, and they think that they're getting an orb that is an entity. Not that there aren't orbs that are entities. That is something I believe in for sure. But we must understand how to differentiate between what is what that is and lens flare. Lens flare comes in a variety of ways according to what camera you have. And I'm just going to show some of them. This is, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit better. Okay. My window is showing in the background, my head. I'm doing this in the daytime and my window doesn't have a dark curtain on it. So pardon that. I can't do anything about it. Maybe if I turned. Hey. I turned my computer at a different angle. Now that window's not showing. Now I can show you this better. I'm going to go from picture to picture showing lens flare. And you will see the person I'm directing this to, I'm speaking to, and she knows who she is. I won't say her name. I want you to see all the examples of lens flare. It can be quite beautiful. Look at this one. It makes a complete circle around and makes a big green spot right there, and then all those little various shapes right there. And that's lens flare. Here's another one. I'm just going to go through them rather quickly, and I'll stop on the one that I think looks a little bit about like the one you're filming, according to my looking at your videos you made, because it can be so many different ways, or there's so many different cameras. Look at that one, isn't that spectacular? And this one, if you caught this in your camera, you'd think you had a bunch of planets or something that you were seeing. But no, this too is lens flare. And look at this one, it makes a big round thing here, and then another smaller round thing, and then this little thing. And that moves all around the sun as you move your camera. Look at that one. Okay, here's another example. Another. And another that's got a lot of different lights from the sun. All that color is in the sun. That's for sure. Okay, now here's one sort of like your little green one that you get. See him right there? And he has a big cape on. And there's a little pink thing right beside him. Right there. And sometimes they have something like this. I used to have a camera that had something sort of like that. And I would play around with that and have a lot of fun putting it on my friend. I would get him to stand under the sun. And I would get down lower than him and have the sun right over his head so that that camera flare was just easy for me to direct it with my camera, holding it in various ways. And I would put that lens flare right on his nose. And so it looked like he had a big old nose like this. Really funny. He looked like a clown. But you can do that. It's fun. But don't fool yourself to think that it's anything but lens flare. But don't quit believing in orbs. I certainly do. I film a lot of orbs. But over time you'll learn, and we learn by making mistakes, but we'll learn that there is such a thing as lens flare. And these that I'm showing you here if you go in your Google and go to Google Images and just click on lens flare sun, it will take you right here to this page that I'm showing you. Now look at this one, it has two little things right there. And it's amazing. It really is amazing how it can look. It's a kind of art form unto itself. Lens flare art, we could call it. Look at that one right there. I see videos that made by professionals of ball games or something, and they're shooting into the sun, and I see that for a brief moment you'll see this kind of thing jut out of it, and it's because the sun has gotten into their camera at a certain angle where it's going to make that. Now some cameras, like my newest one, when I film the sun, I don't see this lens flare. I didn't, at least today when I filmed into the sun. I was trying to make a video with that camera. It works better than my old one, especially when I'm doing videos, because my old one that I did make the last video with, well, it won't let me go in and out with the zoom because something's broken in it. Now look at this one. I've had my camera do this, make a big old purple space. It's more than a dot. It's like really big around. Makes the whole countryside there look like purple bushes. I've seen that many times. And there's some, I get these little things like that. And always the pink spots around the sun, that's another thing cameras do. And there's one that look like that, green with a big old blue tail or purple. See, this is what I get all the time, those reddish or pinkish big splotches. I've noticed that everybody gets them in their camera when they take pictures into the sun. Sometimes when I'm taking a picture of light, I will get those things, but other colors along with them inside of those big red things. So I'll just do a few more. Okay, see this one, the sun's way over here. This is a long range view, and it has shot out not the sun, but, well, the sun caused it, but the lens flare is way over here. And this time it's not a purple one, it's a red one. Different cameras have different ways of being. Some of the newer cameras might not even would film the orbs I take pictures of, because they put these filters in the newer ones, real expensive filters that filter out this sort of ray from the sun. So then they get better pictures of what they're really trying to take a picture of, instead of they're not really trying to get orbs and circles. They're trying to get a picture of whatever it is they're filming. So they make better and better cameras. Look at that one. Big old blue one. I like to get someone to pose for me and let me put the sun right real close to them, but sort of behind them, and then you'll get this effect. It's fun playing with the sun. It's fun playing with the light. But we must really understand what it is that we're looking at, especially if we're going to attempt to tell people what we think it is. That sounds rather pretty wild and far out there. Now, I tell you, the truth is stranger than fiction, and what is true that we will be able to show and tell people about will seem like, well, that can't possibly be, because truth is so strange. And there are invisible entities. But let's don't confuse them with lens flare, because people who get this and know what it is, they're going to listen to your videos. And you'll be talking about lens flare, and they're going to think that you don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's an unusual one. But anyway, go to this website, anyone interested in lens flare, and oh, look at that. See, the sun was somewhere where the rays were reaching the camera in such an angle that it made these. You don't even see the sun in this picture, but that's what that is as well. Look at that. Some people with good imaginations would say, oh, that's a little craft hovering above the sun. For all the world, it looks like that. Ooh, I don't like them to put their logos on these pictures. They don't want them copied by anyone, so they do that. Hey, look here, 2 suns. 2 suns. There's a lot of talk about someday soon we're going to have 2 suns. I've heard that from people. I don't know that much about that, but like I say, truth is stranger than fiction. It's a possibility, but I don't dwell on it that much, because until it happens, I'm not all that interested in conjectures and theories. Outside of my own conjectures and theories, we're funny as humans. But the thing is, it's all right to not know. I've discussed this before. You can say, okay, that's interesting, but I don't know. And I will put that in the category of something that I will look at later if I find more evidence to go with it. Oh, look at that one. See the camera flare here? And some people say this, wow. They say what the shape of this is determined by is the shape of the aperture that your camera uses for its shutter, or something to that effect. So there are people who know quite a bit more about lens flare than I do. I just know a little bit. But there are people who know even less than me. So you're the ones I'm talking to. Now, anybody who knows a lot about lens flare, feel free to comment, because that will only strengthen this discussion. But in your comments, refrain from being negative in the way that you say it. I mean, I've had people say what they think in a rather rude way, and I never like that. You don't have to make the other person feel like they're just a real dummy because they have been deceived by something like lens flare. You don't have to do that. That tells me something about yourself if that's the way you're going to be a teacher of someone else. If you're going to do it with criticism that it borders on being obscene, then you'd be best not to say anything at all. Look at that. It looks like they captured a chemtrail in that picture. That little straight line going straight up. Oh, you can't see that on... Let me see if I can get it bigger. No, I didn't. I just went back. Okay, I'm going to end this. I think I've made my point. And comments welcome. Be kind. This is the Dove Lady. Over and out.